and we are going to talk about marriage. I had this brilliant idea earlier that we could share some goals that we have for our marriage. And some people aren't as comfortable talking about these things while being recorded. I won't mention any names. But I thought it would be kind of a neat little twist to talk about marriage since we are preparing to get married. And do you know how many days?
19?
What?
18?
18 days?
18.
I was reading this morning, as I've been studying marriage, I was reading this morning a talk from like 1981, and I was reading about some of the things that they talked about being really important, and it made me realize that it's a good idea to have goals in a marriage, just like it's important to have personal goals and to be able to obtain those. And so the first thing that I want to do is talk about what our personal goals are for our marriage, and then we'll do a few questions. You okay with that?
I am.
Okay. So I did give you a little bit of warning.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was the first goal that you came up with?
The first goal, I had to write in my hair so I wouldn't forget. The first thing that came to my mind was time, how important it is to make time for each other. Even just those little things, little moments where we can, not necessarily be like a whole long, lengthy period of time together, but also even those small little moments where we're spending.
You don't want to spend time with me?
I do.
Rude! No long periods of time? Only short periods of time?
Not just the long periods of time.
No long road trips. So I want to. Oh, what?
As long as I can sing the door straight.
Don't sing. We can listen, but not sing.
Okay.
Okay. So when you talk about time, I love that because I feel like already in our relationship, in the time that we've spent together, I noticed that both of us have a tendency to get kind of caught up in the anxiety or life or just like the everyday things. And then when we do have those few moments to connect alone without kids, it seems like hitting the reset button. And so I think time is a really good goal. Good job, babe.
And along with that, quality time. So also using that time for scripture study, praying together, just to have open communication with each other about whatever, keeping those avenues open, even just everyday communication. I used to think that some things were just too mundane to really talk about. Why talk about it? But I think even, especially in the beginnings of relationship, it's comforting to me to talk about just my day with you.
Yeah.
So it's part of that quality time.
Yeah, and I think the reason that's important too, especially when you're communicating, and I feel like we do a really good job of communicating, having open communication. A lot of times there's so many big things to discuss, especially like as you're getting ready to get married, as you're getting ready to join families. So talking about the small things kind of helps break up the bigness of everything else too, I think. So that's a good one too. Yeah.
Ready for the next one?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. One of my uncles used to always say, keep smiling. So I think that we should always look for opportunities to smile, laugh. Even trying to find those opportunities to smile, even in those more difficult, trying times. There's still occasions to smile about hardships. I think, even though you're going through some hard stuff, you still might do something that might just make you laugh a little bit. I laugh at myself a lot.
That's okay.
She laughs at me too.
Because the funniest part about you is that you think you're funny.
I have some pretty good jokes. So yeah, so just finding ways to be happy, looking for those opportunities to smile.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's good. I know one of the first things that I mentioned to you when we were dating was one of the goals you mentioned is actually one of my goals too, and that is putting God first, temple attendance, scripture study, and praying together. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the marriage studying I've been doing, it's all been through the LDS Tools app and through guidance that's been given by our prophets and apostles and things like that. And they all say the same thing, like the key to a happy marriage is praying together, making temple worship your priority. I know I've shared this with you before, but and with other people too, but I really feel like what was lacking in my previous marriage was God. I didn't believe in God, so there was nobody to be accountable to, or there wasn't that guidance as to how to be married. That's one of the things that I love about the church and about the celestial marriage and all the covenants and the goals that we get to keep together and strive for. And just knowing that there is somebody greater than you, greater than I think is huge. Mm-hmm. A second thing that I put down as a goal was to become a better steward of finances and practice self-control. One of the things that I admire so much about you, and it was funny, we were at the pool, was it yesterday? Whatever day.
It was third. No, yesterday though.
Whatever day we were there. I asked you about your towel because it had your name on it, and you were like, "Yeah, I've had that since high school," and I was just like blown away because you not only still have some things from high school, but you've taken such good care of them and they're still useful, And for me, I think I can really learn from that about utilizing resources, not buying everything that I want, not looking at something and saying I have to have it. I think it also says so much about your character, the way that you're able to prioritize your spending. And I jokingly call you a cheapskate. But it is one of the things that I admire about you because it shows your commitment to being responsible.
Depends on what I'm looking to buy.
Right. But I feel like overall you just are such a good example of being a good steward, utilizing resources. You take such good care of your equipment, like you're constantly cleaning it. As you know, I've had a lawnmower for like 5 years. I've never cleaned it once. He cleans his every week. I didn't know that was a thing. But that's just another example of a way that I can help preserve our tools or our resources by, and some things you just don't know, but I don't need everything that I see. I just want it.
Plants.
So plants have a use. They're pretty. So the second goal was becoming a better steward of finances and practicing self-control. The third one, which I think is super important too, is consistent self-reflection and just being conscientious of how I speak to you and how I treat you. And I think I've done pretty good so far. I will notice that I've said something or maybe made you feel a certain way and I'll apologize. I'm sure there's things that I haven't noticed or realized maybe it had affected you, but because I love you and I respect you so much, I don't ever want to cause you harm hurt your feelings or say things that are mean, or they say what does they say, the tongue is mightier than the sword, and I believe that to be true wholeheartedly. Like, you can, once you say something, you can't take it back. And so my goal is to constantly self-reflect and ensure that I'm treating you in the way that you deserve to be treated. And apologizing when it's necessary, because I think that's important too for the accountability part of it.
And that goes for me too. That's something we can definitely work on together. Like for me, not saying stuff in the heat of the moment. At times taking a step back and thinking, what am I trying to say? If I say this, how is it going to affect, Erin or anybody else I'm talking to? If I say this or do this, how's it going to make me feel afterward? Stuff I didn't really think about previously. So things that I'm trying to work on. Just everyday life goals. Also, how I communicate.
Which, again, I think you're really good at, and it's kind of why I want to be better, is because I do think you think about how what you say is going to affect me.
Now, if you ask my coworkers, they say I have no filter, but work's different.
Right. I think that's true too, though. But I do feel like you are careful of my feelings in the moment, and I need to be more careful in the moment. Even though I'm willing to self-reflect, I can do better at thinking things through. Okay, good job, babe. Not so scary, huh? All right, we just took a break because we were interrupted.
Life.
Okay, so as I was thinking about what we could discuss, I came up with a couple of questions that I thought we could share. So, Lance, what aspect of marriage are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to having somebody that I can just share life with again. Having that closeness. Being able to wake up next to you. Not have to leave, to go to other home. I can stay here.
Yeah, that's kind of a pain.
Yeah. Just being together, sharing that life together.
That's good. So, I think that's probably right in line with the aspect that I'm most looking forward to, as well as the little things: going to bed together, waking up together. We talked earlier about sharing our days. It's a lot easier to say, like, hey, how are you doing? Or how was your day? I really enjoy when we cook together.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like being able to bounce ideas or questions or thoughts off of each other is another way to get closer to. So just like, what do you think I should do about this? Or, just having those kinds of conversations. And it's a lot easier to do that when you're in the same household.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you view, I thought this was a good question, because how do you view your responsibility as a spouse? Because when we look at it from the terms of like the celestial marriage, that marriage is ordained of God,
Mm-hmm.
like there feels like a responsibility. So how do you view your responsibility?
Well, to love, to cherish, to be equal support with my spouse. Um, Consistency is a word that comes to mind when it comes to, my responsibility as a spouse to you.
Which is something I love. I love that you're consistent and reliable.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to. I think there's a lot that encompasses that word responsibility in a marriage, especially. But just a few of those things. No.
So before I answer the question, because what you said made me think of the next question. Do you believe that marriage is 50-50? Now you said something that made me think, um, is our responsibility to each other to be 50-50, to share our roles, our responsibilities. What do you think?
Well, I think as best as possible. You try to keep things 50-50, but there's things that you're way better at and way more capable of
Yeah,
than I am. And it might be reversed. I think you're more capable of doing more things than I am, just period. Um,
I think you are.
but where one might slack, the other one can be that extra support. Um, where one of us might struggle with something in some aspect of our marriage, the other one I think does a good job of counterbalancing, so everything still stays kind of equal at that point. Um, so yeah, 50-50, perfect, but there's still things that we can do to help each other where we might be struggling at some point.
Yeah, I think that's a good response. So, how do I view my responsibility as a spouse? And I think of Adam and Eve, and the reason God created Eve was so that Adam wasn't alone, that he had a helpmeet, so that they had each other as one. And so I feel like my responsibility as your spouse is to support you, to love you, to care for you, to consider what I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other things that I was reading in my research of marriage was that the best marriages, or the way to be a good spouse, is to, instead of thinking about what you are not doing for me, what I can do for you. And I feel like that's great advice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's so easy to focus on the negative, but like, if I'm trying my best to do for you, in return, you're going to be trying to do your best for me. And that's the same thing if it's negative, right? Like, if I'm focusing on the things that you're not doing, you're going to be focusing on, well, she's not doing this. So it's really, I feel like that's what helps progress the positivity, is just like, what can I do for you? Because I want to be your helpmeet. That's what I want to be.
Good.
Yeah.
That'll be yours.
Okay. You are. And as far as believing marriage is 50-50, I agree with what you said. I think a lot of times too, it's not even just, I do believe it is like talents, right? You have talents, I have talents. They're not all the same. But I do think there's seasons in life too where, maybe you become ill and you can't do certain things physically, or whatever, and you need somebody to care for you. Like, I will be doing that for you, and vice versa. So there's different times, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe, other things that happen in life. If you are struggling with something, obviously, I want to be there to support you in the way that I know you will for me. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be 50-50 when we come down to it, but that's the goal, right? Do you want to read the next one?
What advice have you been given from family or friends that you find useful? You first.
Oh, me first. um, so I recently had my bridal shower, and all of the ladies there, including the kids, left advice, which I thought was great, and we read it together, and it was really good. What was interesting is one of the things that, like, one of my children said was, "Don't worry about the kids, we'll be fine, just be nice to Lynn." Which is funny, but at the same time, it was kind of something I needed to hear. Don't worry about the kids. We'll be fine because we are bringing each of our children, our own children, into the marriage. And, sometimes I feel like that could be tricky. And so hearing the advice, like the kids will be fine, was good advice. I think that's good.
So for me, I talk to my brothers quite a bit.
Just kidding.
But it goes along with the keep smiling thing. We've talked quite a bit in the past about, especially early on in my divorce, with things I was struggling with then, depression and all kinds of things. Looking for those positive moments, or not necessarily looking for them, but learning how to recognize those positive moments in those bad situations, those dark situations. Recognizing those tender mercies that are out there, because God wants us to be happy. That's one thing I've come to realize, that He does not want me to suffer, to struggle. I know I'm going to struggle at times, but I know that because He loves me, that there's certain people that He places in our path. There's certain experiences that He kind of throws at us to show us how much He does love us. So that advice is, look for the positive, look for the good, learn how to recognize the good and the positive.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's really good advice. It's having that, what do they say, the attitude of gratitude or whatever it is. I think that's good. And there is something to be found in in all situations. But I also loved when you said God doesn't want us to fail, He wants us to be happy. So that's something I really struggled with, thinking like God punishes us for things when honestly what He wants is to see us succeed. And I think that's a good thing to remember too. So, oh, do you want to do the next? Oh no, I'm not gonna let you say it, because if you say it, then I have to go first. Can you name 3 things you see as strengths in our relationship?
As strengths,
Yeah, like what are we doing right so far?
communicating, I think it's a big one.
Okay, elaborate. How do we communicate?
We try to bring things up as they come up. So like, you can say, one talent that you have is you can tell if I'm, not my normal self, where, I might be a little more quiet than usual, and we're like, are you okay? Hey, how you feeling? You have a way of helping me to bring that out, so I don't just keep it in and struggle with it then.
Oh.
That's a strength, I think.
Yeah, but in terms of communication, and not yeah, but and I think not only bringing things up right away, but I feel like we have been really good about talking about the hard things in depth and not shying away from them. And that takes so much vulnerability and honesty. But I think we've talked about this too. Every time we have those conversations, it seems like our love for each other deepens, our trust for each other. Like you can feel the strength of the relationship growing, having those hard talks. Which is funny because I think we've all both said also previous relationships that having those discussions either wasn't possible or made things worse. So I feel like that's definitely a strength for sure. Okay, number 2.
Number 2 strength.
Do we have more than one strength? Are we just really good at communicating and nothing?
Well, I mean, I know it's early on in our, as far as our overall relationship, but I think
Yeah, but we get married, babe.
we are.
We better be good at more than one thing.
Yeah. I just think, wanting to be together, to spend time together. We still like each other. That's good. I consider that a strength. We look for ways and opportunities that we can enjoy each other's company.
Swoon.
Also, you do a very good job of this, where I have my boys, she has her girls, her kids. She does a very good job of finding ways to include my boys in family planning activities.
I do?
You do.
Oh, good.
Anybody who knows me knows that I can't plan hardly anything. So she does a very good job.
Shower too.
So, but she's good at giving me ideas on things, even though we might not be together. But she's like, "Hey, this is coming up in Twin. You have your boys. You should try doing this."
Oh,
so those are one of her strengths.
I was supposed to be always.
Well, it helps me too in the long run.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like one of our top strengths is communication, and we talked about that. So I won't drill down on that one more, but I do feel like that's one that needs to be watched no matter how good we are at it. It's so easy to slip out of that because things are tough. Like, it's hard to have certain conversations. It's hard to express, like, oh, you hurt my feelings, or something like that. So it's as good as we are now. I feel like that's still something that is gonna take effort and consistency. But another strength I feel like we have in this relationship is our love languages are, I'm gonna say, the same, but even where they're not the same, they're similar. In that I can express my love to you in the way that you like to receive it, and vice versa. And I feel like that's a strength. I think a lot of times when people are mismatched with their love language, it's difficult to feel like your needs are met and vice versa, right? Like, if you struggle with gift giving and your partner loves receiving gifts, then that would be difficult.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's another strength that we have. Third strength. Why does it feel hard all of a sudden? Do we have
I think we've had 3. I think we talked about 3.
Well, since I'm drawing a blank, we'll just skip my third one and we'll move on. So with talking about our strengths, it's almost like in a job interview.
Yeah.
What are your strengths is always followed by, and what is your weakness? I hate. What do you think our biggest challenge will be? Not necessarily in the future, but as we are getting ready to get married and starting this relationship.
Well, I think it's always can be a difficult transition, because you're meshing 2 families together. Like me, I'm moving into this house when we're married, and then my boys, when they're with me, are going to be here with us together at this house. So we're trying to move kids around to different rooms and figure out how that dynamic is going to play out.
Yeah, not make it feel like my house.
Yeah.
We want it to be our house. Yeah. And that's hard. That's gonna be hard.
Hoping the boys can feel comfortable and feel uncomfortable to where they can still do what they want to do and interact how they want to interact and do a lot of the same things they like to do. I don't know the first thing about raising girls, so
I don't know nothing about raising y'all boys.
So that's one of the foremost challenges that I think that we're going to face as we move forward. But
yeah,
still exciting. Never really a dull moment when you get all the kids together.
No, and it's never quiet either. Which is interesting because they both have said, like, the girls think the boys are really loud and the boys think the girls are really loud, but it's definitely a different kind of loud.
It's a different kind of loud. They can all agree on how different the noisiness is.
Yeah. And I feel like my interpretation of what our biggest challenge will be is super similar. It involves the kids and meshing the two lives together. I feel like one of the things that I think of is, you know, we individually were raised differently, and we've raised our children differently.
Mhm.
And so, and I know we've talked about how we're going to handle that, but I just know that no matter what, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of challenges. I noticed in church the other day, Benny wasn't allowed to have a snack. My kids were snacking, and I was like, what is happening? Well, you have taught your children the art,
Art.
the art of fasting. I call it an art because I really struggle with fasting myself. Like, I really struggle with it, but I've learned to fast with other things. But it was one of those things where I realized we just parented differently. I haven't expected my children to fast yet. They're the same ages, but I feel like that's something we should align on so that it's not so awkward that one's allowed to do something and one's not. And I think it's finding what feels right. And in that instance, I felt like it was a good thing to teach my children how to fast, and I'm happy to align with how you have done things with your kids in
Well,
that
yeah, it's just,
aspect.
I think a lot of it's just kind of how I was raised as well.
Yeah.
We just, that's so, because I was raised that way. That's just how my brain worked.
Yeah.
So I mean, but yeah, we can. That's part of the fun of
So fun. Yeah. A lot of things that are fun about this relationship. I'm not sure what
but
call that fun.
well, it'll be interesting and fun at times
Interesting.
to figure how that's gonna work in one of those other dynamics.
Yeah. And I think several of those instances have already happened and we've been able to get through them so far pretty painlessly. We'll see how it
I
goes.
mean, like it wasn't always no Sunday, no snack ever at church.
Right.
There's sometimes where we had stuff, but
Right.
we
It's
just
but
never had
it's
it.
still a variance, right? It's a variance in the way that I've done things. I've never really thought about what age my kids should be when they start fasting, quite honestly. So it
And I
was
think
a
you asked me
way
that
to reflect.
question a while back. We're talking about something, and as you brought that up, and I mentioned that once they turn 8 and they're baptized, and that's when we talked to them about fasting, and they had the opportunity then to think for themselves and say, yeah, I want to fast for just a certain number of hours, maybe not the full 2 meal or however many hours, but at least get a few hours in.
Well, the age of
Experience it.
accountability, that makes sense to me. To me, that makes sense, right? My parenting skill, as I've mentioned before, has changed over the years. I have older children. I was very strict, very rigid, it is my way or no way with them. And they'll tell you that my younger kids have it super easy. And I would agree with that because a lot of times, when you're in survival mode, you parent in the easiest way possible. And so I find that I don't feel always like I make the best decisions in my parenting. So I know that I can grow and learn from you, and I think one of my favorite things about you is how you parent your boys and how um, you not only tell them what you expect, but you lead by example. And so I'm pretty sure I told you that's one of the things that I found the most attractive about you is your father role. And I think again, I have a lot to learn from you in that. So
Same for me from you.
don't be picking up no ideas on my parenting. Did we just talk about this? I'm not good at it, okay? Um okay. This one I thought was I know we've talked about this before too, but I feel like the more that we've gotten to know each other, this could change, could have changed. What advice do you have for me in terms of how to best support you?
So, well, a couple things. You've talked about in the past, if I'm feeling upset or discouraged, what kind of things do I like or would I like in response to how I'm feeling as far as, help or support from you. And we, you know, because of our love language being similar, um, I like that closeness, that physical contact. So I mean, just holding me, um, just that comfort, that support, that warmness, I guess, helps bring me down from, if I'm getting, feeling angry or, overly concerned or whatever, that just helps calm me down.
Yeah. And I think you're good at that too. I feel like we both need the same thing in that instance. And I feel like I kind of even said to you, like, if I'm mad, hug me.
Mm.
If I'm sad, hug me. Because the worst thing somebody can do for me in that instance, in my time of need, is to leave me alone. I know some people, like, that's how they want to deal with things, to be left alone. I do not. I do not. That is the worst thing you could do. Like, bye. And again, you've been really good. You have kind of the same sense of when I need something, you'd be like, "Can I hug you?" I'm like, "Yes." I feel like I've said a few times to you too, "Don't be nice to me when I'm trying to be bad." But it's but it obviously like brings the mood back, to somewhere positive, and we laugh about it and move on.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's good. Um, so advice on how to best support me, we talked about that. I feel like the other thing that's super important for me, that you're also good at, is just having my back. I'm pretty sure that we had a specific conversation way in the beginning of our relationship, a hard conversation about a lot of hard things. And I kind of just said to you, like, I need to know that you have my back always. Like, I just need, that's what I need. And I feel like you've done that
Hmm.
so far. Okay.
For sure.
So this is the last thing. The last question. Do you feel like there's anything that you want to share? Are there any thoughts, comments that you have thought of while we were discussing our goals or questions?
Well, you've offered many times to help mow lawns with me, so that's kind of hot.
That's kind of hot. Was snorting hot right now? Was that hot? Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What do I have to say back in return? I don't know. Um, I know that asking you to do this was kind of like, it was literally today. I said, "Would you be willing to do this?" And then I told you what I wanted to talk about. And you really came out of your comfort zone and stretched quite a bit in order to do this for me. So I want you to know that I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And the last goal that I would share is just that I really want you to always feel appreciated, because I do appreciate you.
And I appreciate and adore you, and
Oh, you adore me?
I do adore you. Um, and I know, like you made reference to before, that you do have my back. Um, you're there to support and love, and you um, are great at showing love and kindness. Um, so that speaks volumes to me. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so tempted to also remind anybody who might be watching this that I can also be mean. So don't mess with my man. Put him on. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that awful?
Mhm.
Dunga baby.
Even a small little parenting moment in the middle.
It's annoying.